If you can hear me, kindly indicate. Good evening. How are you tonight? Can you hear me, please?
Yeah, good evening, sir.
All right. How are you?
I'm fine, sir.
All right. Okay, we'll be starting right away while others join us. We are discussing an interesting topic today, and it's about taking your time and life back from time wasters. Taking your time and life back from time wasters. Why is this important? We've discussed for a while now the importance of time and how to ensure that we maximize our time as much as possible. But what we are doing differently tonight is to begin to discuss how then do we take that time back? Last week, I talked about the concept of the scale of preference, because there are limited resources that you have as human, and your needs are insatiable. That is why there is need for us to prioritize. There is need for you to prioritize. You don't have time for everything. Because you don't have time for everything, then you must, of necessity, prioritize and define correctly how you spend your time. What you use your time for. Is it just on a job to earn a living, or to create value and be a blessing in your world? The fact that you have limited resources means you must prioritize. You cannot afford time waster wasting your money, your time. Because if you waste your time, you're wasting money. Because time is money. You know, many know about scale of preference. Some are even having PhD in economics. But do you know that even though they know the scale of preference, but many don't apply it in their lives? Ladies and gentlemen, you don't have time for everything. You don't have time for everything. You know why people spend years in church, days in church, week in church? Most of the time it's because they've not discovered themselves and they don't know what their life is about. When they discover their step and know what their life is about, they will prioritize and decide the time they want to go to church and the time they want to fulfill their own calling. The system we run today in many churches are not efficient at all. Some literally go to church every day. They go to work in the morning. The place they go, that they don't even love what they do. They don't enjoy it, but they go there in the morning. They go to church every evening, or go to club every evening, or go to drink every evening, or go to hang out with friends every evening. They've not discovered themselves. They need to work to sustain themselves, to pay their bills, But the other time they have to be able to do something for themselves, they are just whiling it away, either in religion, in entertainment, or in pleasure. It is time to take your life back. It is time to take your life back. Most things that people engage in are not profitable at all. We're just so religious at the expense of the essence why we are here. We are doing as if we are here because of religion. Many don't even understand that their life should count for something they have contributed to the world, to the glory of God. Some people don't even understand that their life should be such that mankind should see it and glorify Father in heaven. Many live as if they have all the time in the world, despite the fact that they have just about 70 years. And by the way, for developing country, life expectancy is even lower than that. Many live, rather, as if they have all the time in the world. The fact that you know that you have limited time, resources in life should make you to have scale of preference that guide your life. So you can't just go everywhere. You know, the reason why many Christians in our world today are not the high flyers, they are not the one creating value, they are not the one blessing the world, they are not the one creating the job, they are not the light of the world, they are not the salt of the earth, is because we have spent most of our time in religion. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, religion. It's on the job in the morning, religion in the night, the job in the morning, entertainment in the night, job in the morning, club in the night, job in the morning. You know, it's so, people just existing. You know, when the purpose of a thing is not known, abuse is inevitable. People are literally abusing themselves and abusing their life, because when the purpose of a thing is not known, abuse is inevitable. So they're literally abusing their life and themselves. It is time to take your life and your time back from things that waste it, like religion, things that waste it, like entertainment, things that waste it, like social media, things that waste it, like clubbing. It is time to take your life back. It is time to take your life back. It is time to take your life back. If you don't have scale of preference, triviality will take over. And that's exactly the situation of many. That is why people waste their time going to watch movies, going to watch football, on Facebook, entertaining themselves, on religious activities that add no value to them and their God-given destiny. Always ask yourself, this thing you are doing now, how does it contribute to the reason why you are here on the earth? How does it contribute? How does it contribute to it? That means, you know, look, I cannot stop talking about the need for you to discover yourself. I can't just every time. Anyway, this program is life calling and career cleaning. So we always have to talk about calling, about calling, about calling. Because if you don't have if there is no trajectory, if there is no direction, you will waste the time. That's the challenge. You will waste the time. And because many have not discovered themselves, they think religious activity is helping them to fulfill their purpose and destiny. So by being religious, they think they are serving God. And I'm not sure that is shown anywhere in the Bible, that you serve God by attending a religious organization. That's not in the Bible. That the way to serve God is to go to a building. That's not true. That's not in the Bible. You go to be encouraged, to be edified, to be prepared to fulfill your calling. Some will say, why will we not entertain ourselves and enjoy ourselves? As if they send themselves here. If you don't take steps regarding what we are discussing today, and take an inventory of your life. Discover your purpose and give it a priority. You know what will happen? You will end up like a regular people, and if care is not taken, a failure in life. Imagine a situation in which you have limited resources, but you are living as if you have all the resources in this world, and that your resources are limitless because you don't have priority. Can you imagine? People live as if they have all the time in the world because they don't have priority. If you don't live your life based on priority, it's like someone who does not have money, but is wasting the money. So you end up not spending money on the essential, you spend money on the non-essential. Where are you spending your time every day? Ask yourself, that place you are going, that religious organization, is it helping you to fulfill your calling? Yes, great. If not, you better find something else to do with your time. You better find something else to do with your time. If your job is making your life difficult, you better find something else to do with your time. If you're addicted to social media, you better find something else to do with your time. It's so important. This explains the situation of life of many today because they don't have enough time, but they are wasting the little time they have. They are living a very catastrophic life because they are wasting their limited time on frivolities. Many do not have a scale of preference because they do not even have a list of what they want to do with their life. Because there's no list of what you want to do, there's no scale of preference. So there's no list. What do I want to use my life to do? If you don't have that list, you won't have a scale of preference. So that explains the reason why people are wasting time and living as if they have all the time in the world. Because they don't have a scale of preference, because they don't even know the reason why they are here. With a total of 70 years lifespan as average time on the earth, you should then have a list of what you want to do with your life and prioritize it. I don't know how to emphasize this. Have a list of what you want to do in your lifetime and prioritize it. And that thing you want to do should be based on your calling. Have a list of what you want to do with your life and give it priority. You can't waste time. You don't have all the time in the world. You don't have all the time in the world. You don't have all the time in the world. You cannot afford to waste your time. You cannot afford to waste your time. And guess what? Many are wasting their time every day. Doing things that are useless, that are pointless. Doing things that are useless and pointless without any value add. Without any value add. This is so important, ladies and gentlemen. So important. This is why you must, first of all, find out what's your life meant for. What's your life meant for? Having taken note of what you are supposed to do, then you need to begin to develop yourself in that area and give this area of calling and purpose a priority. If you don't prioritize what you want to do with your life, trivialities, frivolities will set in. This is why people get into the rat race and begin to chase mirage. These people get into the rat race and begin to chase mirage. Why? Because they don't have a plan of what they want to do with their life. They don't have a plan of what they want to do with their life. This will make you to be carried away with the tides. This will make you to be carried away with the tides. Tide of life. You know what tide of life do? It makes you to only live for survival. That is just spending your entire life to make a living. Spending your entire life to make a living. How on earth will one spend an entire life just to make a living? You know why that will happen? You know why that will happen? The reason that will happen is because there is no priority. The reason why that will happen is because there's no priority. There is no priority. You know, I don't know how to drive this in, but please, I beg you, take our discussion tonight seriously. You need to take your life back. What is taking away your time? What is taking away your time? What is taking away your time? What is it? What is it? What is it? What is it that is taking away your time? If you can identify it and pinpoint it, you will realize that that time you think you don't have, you begin to have it. Because there's so many things taking away our time that many are not conscious of. That's why we're discussing tonight. Take your life back. Take your life back. Take your life back. Take your life back. This is why you must first of all come to terms with that. The fact that you were sent here for an assignment in the first place. If you do not take this session today seriously, sincerely, you will end up like most of our parents, frustrated, disappointed, because they do not have anything to show for the 60, 70 years they've spent on the earth. You are privileged. You are privileged. You are privileged to be learning what they didn't have opportunity to learn. You can't live the same way they live. You cannot live the same way they live. You cannot afford to live the same way they live. You have a better opportunity. You are better informed. You can't afford to live the way they live. So at the end of their life, many of them regretted the way they have lived. But you don't have to live that same way because you have more information. better than they do. Ensure that you are living in a way that you will be ready and eagerly awaiting the arrival of death, because you know you have maximized your life to the full for the purpose of God on earth. For the purpose of God on earth. You should live your life in such a way that you leave this world empty. You die empty because you have delivered everything that is inside you. Because you have delivered everything that is inside you. The whole system of the world is set up for rat race. Please note that. The whole system of this world is set up for rat race. Rat race of job, rat race of salary, rat race of survival. The whole system of the world is set up for rat race. Please don't get into the rat race. If you must get a job, know the reason why you get a job and ensure you focus on the reason why in order to support your calling or start it or develop it. The whole system is designed to set up a rat race of job, of salary, of survival, of material acquisition. And after you have now acquired all those things, so what next? This is why you need to begin to live consciously by finding out what you are supposed to be doing with your life. By finding out what you are supposed to be doing with your life. Please note that your gift and talent, are not your calling, but rather they are pointer to your calling. And they facilitate the achievement of your calling. Your talent is the gift of God to you. Your calling is your gift to the world based on the gift of God to you. So your gift and talent is a tool that you are supposed to use to fulfill your purpose and calling on the earth. To be used to fulfill your purpose and calling on the earth. If you have the gift of teaching, what are you passionate about that you would like to talk about? What are you passionate about that will add value to a human being? That is what you should be using your gift of teaching to do. That is what you should be using your gift of teaching to do. The onus is on you to set yourself free from the rat race of job, of salary, of distraction of the society, of the pressure from family, of the pressure from church, from religion, and anything that keep you in the cage and anything that want to monopolize you. You know, for some people, they have been monopolized. They have been monopolized. It's either all their time is on the job, or all their time is on church, or all their time is on their family. All, I mean all. They have been monopolized because they don't even know the reason why they are here. So there is no reason to give anything priority. You know, this is so important that, look, if you don't know the reason why you are here, you won't give some things priority. Because you don't know why you are here. So you're not giving priority to what you should give priority to. You need to take inventory of your life in order to maximize it before it expires. Our resources to do our assignment on the earth is 70 years or 80 years. For some, 90 years. And if you have the grace, 100 years. Many don't do life inventory because they don't even know that they have a limited resources of time because they do not see it as wealth in the first place. So let's take an average age of 70 years, for example. Do you know what 70 years is? 70 years is 25,550 days. 70 years is 25,550 days, if you don't include the leap year. How old are you now? So let's say, for example, you are 25 years. 25 times 365. That's 9,125 years already gone out of the 25,550 days. 9,125 days already gone out of the 25,550 days. So please don't let anyone waste your time, because that's your life. Don't let anyone waste your destiny, including your friends, including your church, your pastor, your job. Know the time you want to give and focus on what God has called you to do. This is so critical and important, ladies and gentlemen. I want you to do your own calculation. How old are you right now? How old are you right now? Subtract, multiply that year by 365 and subtract it from 25,550 days. That's 70 years. So you can have an idea of how many days you have left. So you can have an idea of how many days you have left. For someone that is 35 years old already, he has spent 12,775 days out of the 70 years of 25,550 days. How many days is left? How many days is left? 12,775 days. If someone is 50 years now, he has just 7,300 days left. How many days do you have left? 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 You know, if you take inventory of our life, sincerely, you won't waste your time. You might think you are young and you have just spent 20 years and you are hearing this. You're lucky, but you cannot afford to waste time again. You can't afford it. Anyone that is serious with life should live in such a way that by the time he's 40 or at most 50, he should be ready to leave this world. He should have contributed enough. And if he has extra, great. But for many of us, many at 50 they have not even done anything. There's nothing they have contributed because people don't take life seriously and live for a reason and for a season and for a purpose, because we don't prioritize. We just waste time. You know, research shows that anyone that's above 50 years have the chance of dying increased by 4 times. The chance of dying increased by 4 times. This is why you must work in such a condensed way that you are able to finish whatever you want to finish before you are 50, so that you can just be building legacy after 50. 70 years is 613 6,200 hours. That means if you have spent half already, that means you have 306,600 years left if you have already spent 35 years. Out of the 70 years average age, in some countries less. Do you know that you have control over only 50 years? So let's do another analysis. Let's do another analysis. Out of the 70 years, you only have control over 50. The first 20 years of your life, you don't have control. You don't decide what you do. Your parents decide everything for you. The first 20 years of your life. Most things you do are based on your parents. So that means out of these 70 years, 20 years was already gone, not under your control. That means you only have control over the remaining 18,250 days. And this amounts to 438,000 hours. Out of 50 active years, which is about 18,250 days that you have, do you know that 6,083 days will be spent sleeping? 1/3 will be spent sleeping. And that is 146,000 hours that will be spent sleeping. This means out of the 50 years, what you're going to spend 16 years sleeping. So what you have left is actually about 32, 33 years. If you're already more than 20 years old, that means your active life in which you are taking decision yourself is less than 50 years. If you're already more than 20 years old, which I believe many of us are. So if you spend 8 hours on the job, not your area of calling, that is another 6,083 days, which is 146,000 hours. Out of the 18,250 days of active life, out of the 18,250 days of active life, 6,000 days is for sleep, 6,000 days is for job. You have about 6,000 days active time for yourself. But you know what happened during that period? We discussed it last week. If you spend 1 hour daily to get ready for work, 1 hour daily for social media and watching TV, 1 hour daily to commute on the road, 1 hour daily for religious activity, 1 hour daily to eat. That means out of the remaining 146,000 hours, or 6,083 days, you have spent 365 hours a year getting ready for work. This comes to 18,250 hours of active life. And this amounts to 760 days. That is 2 years out of the remaining 50 years. 2 years just to get ready to go to work. 2 years. If you spend another 1 hour on social media or watching TV, that's 365 hours a year. That's 18,250 hours of active life. Remember, we are using the 50 years left. That is 760 days out of the remaining 50 years. And that is 2 years of active life spent watching TV and social media. If you spend 1 hour a day on religious activity, that is 365 hours a year. That's 18,250 hours of active life. that amount to 760 days. That's 2 years of active life on religious activity. That religious activity had better add value to you. It had better add value to you. You know, I've said it severally. When there is no vision, the people don't perish again, they change parish. It had better add value to you. If you are not helping you to develop your calling, you are just successfully wasting your time in such a religious organization. If you spend 1 hour also on transport daily, that is 365 hours a year. And this comes to 18,250 hours of active life. And this amount to 760 days, which is about 2 years out of the 50 years. Remember that there are just 50 active life. If you spend 1 hour a day eating, that is 365 hours a year, and come to 18,250 hours active life, which is 760 days and 2 years of active life. So out of the 18,250 days, remember, 18,250 days left in the remaining 50 years of active life. Remember, 6,083 days is already spent sleeping, 6,083 days already used for job. Now, 760 days for socializing, 760 days getting ready to go out, 760 days on eating, 760 days on religious activity, 760 days on transport. The total is now 15,966 days. If you remove it from the 18,250 days, you know how many days is left in the active life? 2,284 days of active life. You know what we are doing tonight? We are taking inventory of our life. We are taking inventory of our life. We are taking inventory of our life. Let me go over it again. Let me go over it again. With an average age of average time on the earth, someone say, someone say, life has finished, yo. Life has finished, yo. Let's go over it again. Out of the 50 years, let's assume 70 years of life on the earth, you only have active life for 50 years, because that active life of 50 years is the one you have control over. Your first 20 years on the earth, your parents control your life. That 50 years, if you multiply it by 365, if you multiply that 50 years by 365, it comes to 18,250 days. Remember, 1/3 of that is used for sleeping. Another 1/3 is used for work. If you remove that from it, what is left is 6,083 days. Out of that 6,083 days, you are also spending some days socializing, 760 days socializing, 760 days getting ready to work, 760 days eating, 760 days religious activity, 760 days commuting. If you add all that to the 12,000 days that you have before, it becomes 15,966 days. If you remove it from the 18,000 days of active life, what you have left is 2,284 days of active life. Do you know what this is telling you? Take an inventory of your life, ladies and gentlemen. Take an inventory of your life, ladies and gentlemen. Take an inventory of your life. All this is telling you why you must take life seriously and use it for your calling to glorify God and not to waste it. I don't know how to talk about this tonight. I don't know how to talk about this tonight. You know, people are just wasting their life. There's nothing to show for their contribution to humanity. When God created man, do you know the first thing he said? Be fruitful. Most of our religious activity, it's not a sign we are serving him. Most people do it because of guilty conscience. The reason why he created us, which is to be fruitful, many don't engage in it. Many don't discover themselves and their calling. They are just working for survival. They are just working to acquire material things and show off and oppress people. Many are not living, they are just existing. It's so sad. It's so sad. If you are here, you are still under 25, you're lucky. You are hearing this at this time of your life, you're lucky. I wish I heard this at this time. So now you don't have an excuse again. Those of us that are more than 30 already, or probably in the 40s, you know what? You don't have time on your hand again. You need to move fast. You can't waste your time. And many are not conscious of these things. That we must take an inventory of our life in order to take our life back from time wasters. In order to take our life back from time wasters. In order to take our life back from time wasters. Ladies and gentlemen, you need to take your life back for time wasters. If you don't take your life back for time wasters, frivolity will set in. Frivolity will set in. Frivolity will set in. I'm sure you are aware of this parable, of this illustration. If you leave a particular place bare, you didn't plant anything on it. After a while, grass will be growing from it. You didn't plant anything on it, but grass will be growing from it. You didn't plant anything on it, but grass will be growing from it. Grass will be growing from it. Grass will be growing from it. That means if you don't plan your life, frivolity will set in. Other things will take away that time. Remember the illustration I gave the other time? Water pouring out of a cup. 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 That's the way our life is. When you wake up every day, today has gone today now. Today has gone. What have you done today? What have you done today? Take an inventory of today. What have you done today? What value have you created today? What value have you added to yourself today? Who have you blessed with your life today? Who is happy for your existence today? Who is thanking God for meeting you today? What have you done to advance your life today? What have you done to improve yourself today? How have you spent today? You see how you have spent today? That's where you spend all that time. Because it's what you are used to already. It's what you are used to already. It's what you are used to already. Ladies and gentlemen, you need to take your life back from time wasters. Please note that you cannot spend your life just trying to make a living, to take care of your family. That's not why you are here. That is important, but that's not why you are here. That is why you need to do everything humanly possible and within the boundary of the scriptures to take your life back. You know, some people must take their life back from their parents. Some need to take your life back from their siblings. Some need to take their life back from their children. Some will take their life back from their husband. Some will take their life back from their wife. Many are under the bondage of rat race, of culture. The culture says you must do this at this time of your life. You must do Ashwebi, even if you cannot afford it. Because of the bondage of family. Rat race. Rat race. Rat race of culture, of family, of emptiness, of frivolity, of mirage. To the extent that you have family, you need to take care of them. But you should know that you are not here for them because they will soon leave you. Those children will soon leave you and you will come back to yourself and be on your own. You and your husband left. Even your husband or your wife need to know that they, each of you, have a reason and you need to complement each other. The purpose of being on the earth. You are first of all an individual and you belong to God who sent you here on an assignment before you have those children or before you marry. You are created as an individual and you belong to a creator. God created you for himself, for his own purpose, for his own mission, and for his own intention on the earth. It's very important that you know that one day your children will leave you. In fact, your spouse will leave you. You might be in the old age, but he will leave you. Or you leave him. And if he leave you, you'll be alone. Your allegiance should first be to God before your spouse. Your allegiance should first be to God before your spouse. Why? You were not sent here to marry. Marriage just become necessary because he said 2 shall chase 1,000. So you can become effective in your calling. If your marriage is not allowing you to be effective in your calling, then something is wrong. Something is wrong. Chidi, thank you for dropping it on the WhatsApp group. I love your summary. Thank you. Well done. You missed one out. 60 days. 60 days of socializing, eating, religious activity, commuting, and 60 days of getting ready to go out. You missed that out. 60 days, 60 days of getting ready to go out. So this is why your life should not be lived just around your children or family alone. Your children will leave you. Your allegiance should be to your creator. You are not supposed to live for any other thing but for him. How do you know if you are living for him? When you are creating value and being a blessing on the earth. When you are creating value and being a blessing on the earth. When you are creating value and be a blessing on the earth. You are supposed to live for him, not for any other thing. Many live for everything else in life but their creator. Many live for everything else in life but their calling. Many live for everything else in life but for the kingdom. This is why Christ said, you must deny yourself of all the relative of all your relatives and people around you and live for him. He said, you should deny your father and mother to be able to live for him. He's basically saying that you are not here for them. Even though you have obligation to take care of them, but you are not here for them. Please know that all that he gave you are for his purpose in your life. So he should remain priority. Please note that the kingdom should be more important than even the church or religious activity in your life. You must Take your life back from day-to-day vanities and activities that are not contributing to the fulfillment of your purpose. There is a guy that has many inventions under his belt. But because he was born again, he was not born again before, he became born again. His pastor took him away from the lab where he's solving human problems and creating value and be a blessing to the world to be a pastor of a church. He became very frustrated. He could not reject it, but he became very frustrated because he's not called to be a pastor. He's not called to be a pastor. He's called to be an inventor. This is what happened to you when you don't know what you are called to do. Because any other thing can come in. So instead of supporting him with necessary mentorship to fulfill God's plan for his life, you know what they do? They kill his dream by caging him in a church. This created frustration in his life. He was depressed because it was like a square peg in a round hole, but he could not reject it. Can you see the way people live? He's been brainwashed that that's the only way to serve God. People are being pushed today not to fulfill the purpose of God for their life, but rather to fulfill the vision of a man of God. Please note that your purpose of creation and the kingdom assignment is more important than the vision of any religious organization. There is a need to take your life back. There is a need to take your life back. The need to take your life back is hinged on the fact that you are created by him and for him. Take your life back. To take your life back, you need to answer the following question. Do you have a concrete goal, an agenda that you are living for on a daily basis? And that agenda is not the one you gave yourself, but the agenda that God gave you. How do you know? Take your life back. To take your life back, answer the following question. Do you have a concrete goal, an agenda you are living for on a daily basis? Does your life revolve around the agenda? Does your life revolve around the agenda? Does your life revolve around the agenda? Does your life revolve around the agenda to be able to fulfill it? You need to begin to live within the prison of your vision. Listen to that. You need to begin to live within the prison of your vision. Do an inventory of those activities that you engage in on a daily basis that is pushing you away from your goal. Do an inventory of them. Do an inventory of them. Do an inventory of them. Then you need to ensure that you begin to avoid them, or at least reduce those activities as much as possible, particularly when it has to do with making money. That is why you need to learn about finances in order to be able to live for destiny, not for survival. You should never work for money in life. You should only be working for purpose and calling. Don't work for money. Work for purpose and calling. Don't work for money. Work for purpose and calling. Don't work for money. Work for purpose and calling. That means if you are working on a job, find a way to tie that job to your purpose and calling. Maybe because of the funding to fund your dream of what you want to do with your life, of your area of calling. Nothing should own you in this life. Only God and his purpose for your life should own you. Using the principle of gospel, goal, objective, strategy, planning, activity. Nothing should own you. The purpose of God should own you. Make sure you break down your life goal and vision into objectives, and break down the objective into strategies, and then design a plan based on that strategy to implement the strategy, and then bring down your plan to daily activities. To daily activities. That then means that everything you do daily will be designed and geared towards the achievement of your goal, including your job. If you have a job and you have been able to tie it down, connect it, even while going to the job, you are preparing for your destiny. Create boundaries. Create boundaries for yourself. Create boundaries for yourself. Create boundaries for yourself. Like choosing where to go, choosing what to do with your time, and ensuring that everything you do is directly related to your goal and your purpose. This can be done via having a timetable of how you want to live your life on a daily basis. The timetable of how you want to live your life on a daily basis. And keeping to it. This requires a lot of discipline. And therefore cannot be achieved if there is no vision or goal. There must be something driving your life. You will not be able to take your time away, because if you identify your time wasters, if you don't deploy that time into something else, you will not be able to overcome the time waster. Because life does not allow vacuum. Something must occupy that time, that space. Something must occupy that time and that space. Find a way to cut away from your time wasters. People, places, and events who are time wasters. Remember, time waster is anything that does not contribute to the achievement of your goal in life. That's a time waster. Anything you do that is not contributing to what you want to use your life for is a time waster. Cut it away, cut it down. Remember that time waster is anything you do, anywhere you go, that is not contributing in any meaningful way to your goal and aspiration in life. Fight for every hour of your day, because the man that fights for every minute of his life is the freest man on earth. Develop the habit that bring out the values that you create in form of product and service. When you kill time, you are killing your life. You are killing your destiny. And that will make you not fulfill your purpose on the earth. When you kill time, waste time, you are wasting the destiny that God has in stock for you. You need to have a priority, a free priority in your life. So what are the things that preoccupy your mind? You need to have limited things you think about. What are the things that define you? You need to have things that define you. I say you don't have time for everything. Remember, there should be a scale of preference. A scale of preference that guides everything you do. A scale of preference. a scale of preference. You know, scale of preference will be useless if you have not discovered yourself and your life and what you want to do. So you notice that everything still ties again to discovering yourself, discovering your life. You can't, and that's why this program is called Life Calling and Career Clinic. Everything is about your calling. Why? Because the reason why people live in an haphazard manner without focus and direction is because they don't even know why they are here in the first place. They don't even know why they are here in the first place. Now that you know these things, happy and blessed shall you be if you do them. Let me hear from you tonight. Let me hear from you tonight. Damaris, I see you. You ran away the last time. I want to hear you. Hello, Damaris, are you there? Hello, Damaris, can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
How now?
I'm fine, sir.
Yawo, how is your husband? I hope he's there.
Yes, he is.
How are you?
Good evening, sir. Fine,
You're
thank
back
you,
from
sir.
the moon.
Okay, so for me, I think the major thing is
You didn't
taking
answer me. I
account
said you're
of
back
how
from
you
the
spend
moon.
your. Yes.
Go ahead, please.
I think me is taking account of how you spend your minutes. Like if you can be conscious of how you spend your minutes and hours, the days will take care of itself. I don't know, but that's I think that's the major thing I learned. Like
You are very correct. If you are conscious of your second, you will take care of your minute. If you manage your minute, you will take care of your hours. If you manage your hours, you will take care of your day. Perfect. Let me hear from him, please. Mr. Modesola.
Hello, sir. Good evening. Been a while. I'm good, sir.
Yes.
Actually, I had listening in as so that I say it's Saturday. Oh, it's actually time for the program. That's why I now joined. So I joined a bit late, but of course I was still able to listen into when you were doing the calculations for the hours we use at work, in transit, to socialize, and all the others. So that really calls to question how much of time we spend on our calling, really.
Yeah.
But so once you take account, as in once you take account of the times you spend, I think you realize, okay, each day you must actually plan it well. That you cannot just, as in planning is so important, you must time yourself and ensure that you are almost always within that time frame that you have allotted and all. So being conscious of time, I think that time consciousness must be evident in everything we do, whether we say we are relaxing, we are just resting, or we are actually working. And everything must be driven towards our calling. So that's my take home, as in being very time conscious. Everything we should do in life should drive us towards our calling, really. So it's really important, sir. So that's my take today.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. Faith. Hello, Faith. Hello, Faith. Are you there?
Good evening, sir. Yes.
Yeah, good evening. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you, sir.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. I learned quite a lot, or I took down a lot.
What did you learn today?
I learned that, okay, one thing that stuck with me was when you're talking about having a routine, and our routine should be centered around our area of calling, and whatever we do should ultimately be centered around our area of calling and our lives. We should um be more conscious of how we spend our time, because like you've been saying, when we waste our time, we're ultimately wasting our life, and we do not actually have as much time as we think we have. And so when we're more conscious of how we spend our time, we realize that we don't actually have that much time. Um, and also being conscious of the fact that you're not here for anybody but for God, and ultimately everything you do is fancy, and that consciousness is instead discovering yourself and your calling. The ultimate is the first step, because if you don't even know in the first place, there's no way you will not waste your time. So I'm going home with having being more conscious of how I spend my time. I even have that reminds I get a reminder every hour with the question, what am I doing? What am I doing with my time at this moment? So that I'm going to start doing that again and be more conscious of it when it comes up on my phone.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you
Thank you
very
so
much. I tell P33. I tell P33. Who is using that phone? I don't know your name, but that's what I can see here. I tell P33. Can you hear me? Are you there?
Yes, sir. I can hear you. This is Ngozi.
What's your name? Hello?
This is Ngozi.
Oh, Ngozi, okay. How are you?
Hello, sir. I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Go ahead, please.
I'm fine. I'm fine. Yes. So it was an interesting session tonight. Ah, really good to be back here again. It's been a while. I learned the breakdown, especially when we began taking inventory as to how we actually spend our time, how when you started breaking things down. I was like, okay, I was trying to see the remnants when it took 20 years, it took this years, this amount of time for seeing movies, this amount of time for socializing, and then I was like, what is left? What is left? Oh my God. But yeah, to take one. Yes, so it's a charge to be very, very intentional. Okay, as I said earlier, it takes a whole lot of discipline. You have to be very, very conscious as to how well you spend your time, and not allow frivolity set in. So of course, yes, it also points to the fact that you can't remove a particular line of activity which you are used to. Okay, you have to fit in with something that is more purposeful, something that is more intentional. So that's where the call for finding your purpose, finding your calling, and walking in that light comes in. So yeah, it was an interesting moment yet again, Chisa. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. Jeremiah. Jerry, you join us tonight. Are you there?
I am there, sir. Good evening, sir.
Yeah, good evening. How are you?
I'm very fine, sir.
Yes. What have you learned tonight? And if you have questions.
I don't know if I joined when it started or 20 minutes late, but when I joined at the point when you were giving the analogy, breaking down the time. At first, I didn't get that it was 50 years we analyzed. I thought you were analyzing like, let's say 20, 30 years. But when I saw that it was 50 years and the amount of time that I've left the 50 years and the remainder, I just began to feel like, so it's because ordinarily, looking at it in a whole day, let's say you are very profitable, you work for about 5, 6, 7 hours. But analyzing it that way would make the way you analyze it just made it seem that every activity that we do repeatedly over and over again would sum up to that amount of time out of our life that we have not used to fulfill God's plan for us, and I was really, really touched. And then also, I also learned that like with that analogy you gave, you can actually spend quality time on doing what God wants you to do, not
Yeah.
what you yourself you want to do, but what God's plan for you is. And then if you have a plan, it's very good, but if it's not approved by God, and if it's not something that is in line with what God has planned for you, you'll probably just be spending all your time doing the wrong thing. And then I also learned I should be very intentional, because just wasting time, like most of what I did today was just wake up, eat, read small, and then do some other minor things. Like not really really driving the nail, not really hitting the nail on the head. So I need to be very intentional and take my time into consideration, because time is really short.
Mm. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Kalu David. David Kalu.
Hello, good evening, sir.
I want to be sure that you are there. I want to say all business.
Not yet, too. Well, sir, for me, the analogy for me is just that, just like you predicted the future, what the future will bring for us. So, because I will say that at least we are still young. We are under 25. We still have a lot to do, or like we have a lot to do. So, for me, I think what you just said tonight for me, like, hey, unknowingly maybe we may be wasting time, but we don't know that you're wasting time. You know, when you are saying about eating, taking beds, preparing for office, I will never even have anything like this in my mind before. Like I'm wasting time like this. Like it's just shocking for me. Like hey, just play. Time was going like this. So I think the part for me is that I just have to like develop myself to be more conscious about time. And as Faith said, just to at least anything you are doing for a particular period of time, you should give account of it. Within this particular, from this minute to this second, from this second to from this minute to this hour, this is what I've achieved. I think it will be easier for me to live a better life. So I think that what I really learned, and I'll put it in practice. Yeah, thanks so much, sir.
Thank you. Chidi.
Yeah, can you hear me, sir?
Yes.
Hello.
I can hear you loud and clear.
All right, sir. Okay, so as usual for me, it's been interesting and enlightening, and also a strong reminder. I learned a lot. I've been reminded of a lot. I have a question, but I just want to recount. You know, the first time I had this analogy, right? I think that was probably a year ago or 2 years ago. I was so crazy about it. Like what I did was I divided my time. I had like 6 to 7, 7 to 8, 8 to 9, 9 to 10. I had it all planned out. You know, that was how I was living my life then. I think then I was still on campus stuff like that. Yeah. So I discovered that 1 week too is okay. You know, your productivity increases. But of course, it's a new habit. So I think at the point I found out, right? Because I remember then my colleagues in the room were like, I see this guy almost every hour, you know, that kind of whining kind of stuff. But I discovered that I could not sustain it for a long time, which is where my question comes in. Although with time, I've been able to learn to maximize my time, but the idea of splitting it precisely into hours, into bits, I discovered that it was not a sustainable model for me. So, which is where I want you to shed more light on, because a lot of us are learning this for the first
Sorry,
time.
I didn't get that.
Okay, so I was talking about the fact that when I had this for the first time, I took it extremely seriously, and I was able to increase my productivity. I was able to streamline every hour of my day, but I discovered that it was not sustainable. Although a couple of reasons could have come in, but the point I'm trying to bring out is it was not sustainable, like living every day, you know, focused on each hour at a time. So I want you to shed more light on it, because many of us are just learning this and we'll be trying
When
to
you say
implement
it's
this.
not sustainable, you mean to be able to live purposefully daily?
Not to live purposefully daily, to live like the model I just explained now was breaking my 24 hours into 1 hour a day and having an activity for each 1 hour and basically doing everything under heaven to meet up with that time. Do you get
So
that?
why is that a problem? If what you are doing, you love it, is in line with what you believe you are called to do, why will you not be able to do it? If you are
I think-
unable to do it, if you plan your day, like today now, my day typically on Saturday is already planned out. 8 to 10, 11 to 1, 2 to 4, then 7, this time 7 to 9. And in between, I have break to either eat or do some other things, and while preparing for other things I have. I mean, if you love what you do and you enjoy what you do, why will you plan and you're not able to do it? Why will you find out? That's why I said, if there's nothing you are seeing ahead that is pulling you to do those things, you will not be able to do it. If they are just activity just to fill the day and feel the productivity you're talking about, in which direction is that productivity? Which
Okay,
is discovering yourself. For example, you're a student. So everything you are doing right now should be around your academics, but you must tie that academic to something else. If the academics, what you will come out with is not in line of your calling, then you must tie it to something else. If you find a way to tie it, then incentive to give yourself to academic become easy because you have tied it to ultimately you want to do. How what you are doing right now in your academics will ultimately help you to achieve your objective. I don't know if I make sense.
Yeah, I think that's clear. That's clear. Okay, I think another part of the question was actually initially. No, with time, as at now, I can comfortably do that. I can comfortably, manage my day and maximize my time. Even when I don't write them down subconsciously, I know the activity I'm supposed to do for the day and it's all allocated, right? But at that initial phase, right, it's a new habit. So I want recommendations and as how people that are starting this for the first time can actually sustain it. You talk a lot about the need to have a vision of what is ahead, and you
You need
mentioned
to set a
discipline.
reminder now. So you remind yourself. If you have the activity, set a reminder to remind yourself until you get used to it. So that you can be able to say, okay, between 8 and 10 is what I want to do, between 10 and 12, so that you don't get carried away with other activity. You remind yourself of those things you think is necessary for you to do. Because you need, but what is most critical for me is there must be an incentive. What is the thing you are seeing ahead? That thing you are seeing ahead is an incentive great enough to pull you to continue to do it because you love it, because the result you are seeing ahead. Does it make sense?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Thank you very much, sir.
All right. Okay, I think we see. Okay, Yemi is around tonight. Yemi, how are you? Good evening. Hello, Yemi, are you there tonight? Hello? Okay, some other people have gone. All right, I think Oluseun Odulano. Seun, you just joined. I'm not sure you are able to hear what we discussed. I'm not sure I'll be able to ask you a question because I'm not sure you hear what we're able to discuss today. All right, thank you very much, everyone, for being able to make it tonight. Hopefully, next week we continue. We are still discussing time, but next week we are looking at, so what do we do with this time? And we are discussing living effective life. And we'll be defining, when you say life is effective, what exactly does that mean? Understanding the concept of living an effective life. Thank you very much for being able to make it today. See you next week. Have a wonderful weekend. Bye-bye.